Even in a 30-second promo for Game of Thrones, there is so much new footage to talk about. I'm Terri Schwartz, and you are looking at the scene in this new trailer that had me the very most excited. If you look closely at the sigil on this Kingsguard member's armor, you will see it is the Targaryen three-headed dragon, which means, considering there is not a Targaryen king or queen on the throne right now, this scene is probably set in the past. We've seen some hints of this already in trailers, but he is standing in front, they both are standing in front of this tower, which leads me to believe that it's this very important moment from the history of Game of Thrones that is called the Tower of Joy. And if I am right about that, and I am going to just assume that I am right because it makes me so excited if that's what they're doing it, we are going to be getting a lot of good, meaty history and motivations to some of the main characters on the show, and hopefully get some really cool reveals. Moving on, there is another big exciting moment in this trailer, which is that we get our first look at Dorne in Season 6. We get our first look at Ellaria Sand. She obviously killed Myrcella Baratheon at the end of Season 5. Dorne had a big part of the season, but I was honestly a little bit unsure how they were going to handle it this season, given that we're getting a lot of new characters, a lot of new settings. But it looks like the Sand Snakes and Ellaria are in fact back. She looks a bit somber here. Hopefully she feels a little bit guilty about killing a very nice Lannister, Baratheon, whatever you want to call her, child, but, probably not. This next shot is of the Night's King, and we've seen a lot of the Night's King, even in the last trailer. Davos says, "The dead are coming," but this shot shows just how big his army is. This is gotta be the biggest threat north of Westeros right now. I feel like if you brought all the armies still in Westeros together, it still wouldn't be big enough to combat this threat, and it doesn't help that as the Night's King's army is growing, all our leaders in power are getting weaker and weaker. Speaking of which, we see Daenerys in a really terrible situation here. It looks like this takes place pretty close to the beginning of Season 6, because she is still in the same clothes that she was wearing when Drogon took her away from Daznak's pit at the end of Season 5, but she's getting whipped by a Dothraki who is leading her as her hands are tied. She looks just like she's in a terrible situation, and she's the mother of dragons. She's the Khaleesi. She's the widow of Khal Drogo, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of respect here, which is bad news for Daenerys Targaryen if she wants to get back to Meereen anytime soon. This next image, there's a lot of speculation about what we're seeing here. I believe that we are seeing some Greyjoy ships. We can't actually see what sigil is on the sails here. I guess HBO has learned their lesson that people were gleaning too many spoilers from that. But I believe that we're seeing a couple of ships here probably coming back to the Iron Islands. We know we're meeting Theon's uncle Euron Greyjoy, so this could be his fleet. People also are speculating that it could be the ship that Sam and Gilly are on when they're heading down to Old Town, but I'm the one doing this rewind, so we will just assume that I am right. The Sons of the Harpy were obviously a huge threat at the end of Season 5, and now Tyrion Lannister is the person who has to deal with them with Dany elsewhere. We know that she is with the Khalasar. She is basically MIA as far as the people in Meereen are concerned, and it looks like the Sons of the Harpy are just running rampant around the streets and killing people and being generally terrible. The first time I saw this trailer, I sort of assumed that this and the next scene went together, but now that I break it down and take a look at it, it's pretty clear that they're separate. The Sons of the Harpy are not, in fact, looking up at Drogon arriving, but it looks like Drogon is coming in over the Khalasar, maybe even the Khalasar and the Dothraki that Dany is held captive by. And these are just some really cool shots of Drogon flying over the Dothraki who are in the Great Grass Sea, the Dothraki Sea, hopefully going to save his mother, but who knows? We know that he's gotten a little bit bloodthirsty and hungry for human flesh in recent seasons. In this next shot, we see Jaime Lannister back in the Sept of Baelor, back over another dead child, this time probably meeting the High Sparrow for one of the first times he actually would. He's returned from Dorne and sort of was absent the entire time the High Sparrow came in, and the Faith Militant sort of took over a lot of King's Landing. So we have this cool scene where he's confronting the High Sparrow, and then even cooler, the choreography of the Faith Militant coming in and swarming, further underlining that there is going to be this big threat, this big conflict between Jaime and Cersei and the High Sparrow and his followers. And last but not least, we have this awesome shot of Bran Stark standing probably north of the wall in front of this tree. Standing, very importantly, he's gotten really tall over the past few seasons. I'm glad Hodor doesn't have to carry him too much anymore, but he's probably having a vision since we know that he is paralyzed. He probably can't walk, but it's just a really cool sequence, and then it goes right into that shot that we've seen before of the Night's King confronting Bran and those two coming face to face. So I'm expecting we're going to get a lot of really cool stuff with Bran's storyline, especially since he wasn't in season season 5 at all, so hopefully the wait was worth it. So this is our big teases as we head into the Game of Thrones season 6 premiere. For all things Game of Thrones, keep it here at IGN.